Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to break down a really powerful framework for thinking about money, one that you almost certainly did not learn in school. It's all about escaping a trap that, honestly, a lot of us don't even realize we're in. So, to kick things off, let's start with a story about someone who, on paper, had it all figured out. Heavyweight boxing champ Mike Tyson. I mean, at his peak, this guy was one of the highest paid athletes on the entire planet. We're talking hundreds of millions of dollars pouring in. And yet, by 2003, he filed for bankruptcy. And he wasn't just broke, he was $30 million in debt. Okay, let's just pause there. How on earth does that happen? Look, Tyson's story is more than just some wild celebrity tale. It's an extreme example, for sure, but it points to a huge, fundamental misunderstanding that most of us have about money. And it really raises the big question, if earning a ton of money isn't the answer, then what is? To find that answer, we've got to start by completely redefining the problem. So let's get a few key ideas straight, because the rat race you think you're in, it's probably not what you've been told it is. Let's start with the idea of money itself. You know that old saying, money is the root of all evil? Just forget that for a second. A much more useful way to think about money is that it's just a neutral tool. It's simply an expression of value that we all agree to exchange with each other. That's it. And this brings us right to the two core sides of your financial life. You've got production, that's creating value, bringing money in, and you've got consumption, using up value, sending money out. Your job is production. Your Netflix subscription, that's consumption. It's this constant balancing act. So where's the imbalance for most people? Well, the numbers are kind of staggering. A full 78% of workers are living paycheck to paycheck. And here's the real kicker. Even for people earning over 100 grand a year, 1 in 10 are in the exact same boat. So clearly, the problem isn't a lack of production. It's that consumption is just running rampant. And this is the most crucial point right here. The rat race isn't your 9-to-5 job. The real rat race is this dangerous, self-defeating cycle of consumption. It's that feeling of constantly living on a financial edge, knowing that just one unexpected bill could throw your entire life into chaos. This is exactly what that feels like. When your lifestyle eats up every single dollar you make, your job stops being a choice. It becomes a non-negotiable necessity, just to keep everything from falling apart. You're not owning your things are owning you. Okay, but if this is so obviously destructive, why is it so darn hard to stop? Well, as it turns out, our own brains are often our own worst enemies when it comes to money. First up, there's something called the ostrich effect. We are literally wired to avoid information that makes us feel bad. You know that feeling when you're a little afraid to look at your bank account after a big weekend? That's it. It just feels easier to stick your head in the sand. Then you've got our brain's obsession with immediate gratification. We consistently and often unconsciously choose the small pleasure of a new purchase today over the much, much larger, but delayed, reward of financial security tomorrow. And finally, we are social creatures. We have this deep-seated need to fit in, so we look to others to figure out how we should act. And if everyone around us is spending money and buying new things, we feel this intense internal pressure to do the same. And oh man, has the internet put this whole thing on steroids. It's not about keeping up with the Joneses next door anymore. Now we're trying to keep up with the perfectly curated, highlight reel lives of everyone on our social media feeds. And it creates this impossible standard that just fuels more and more consumption. So how do we fight back? How do we actually escape? Let's get to the solution. The escape plan starts not with making more money, but by playing defense and finally mastering your consumption. In this defensive plan is actually surprisingly simple. It's just 3 steps. It all starts with awareness. You have to track your spending. You can't fix what you don't measure. Next comes control. You create a budget to consciously tell your money where to go. And finally, you build your safety net, an emergency fund with 3 to 6 months of expenses. This becomes your wall, your defense against chaos. Okay, so once your defense is solid, once you're no longer living on that financial edge, then it's time to go on offense. It's time to focus on the other side of that equation, production. Playing defense by living below your means is absolutely essential for building a stable foundation. But let's be real, there is a limit to how much you can save. There is, however, no limit to how much you can earn. True game-changing financial freedom is found on offense. Think about it this way. A typical job offers linear income growth. It's slow, it's steady, it's predictable. But scaling your production, that means creating value for a large number of people. That is what unlocks the possibility of exponential growth. And scaling production doesn't just mean starting some old-fashioned factory. Today, thanks to the internet, you can create a piece of software, a YouTube channel, an app, or a brand that provides value to millions of people, all from your laptop. So let's put this all together. What does this new financial framework actually look like when you put it into practice? It all comes down to a really simple two-step escape plan. First, you master consumption. You play defense. You stop the leaks. You build a foundation of stability. And only then do you go on offense to scale production, moving from that stability to true freedom. In other words, you have to plug the holes in the boat before you try to build a bigger engine. And ultimately, putting this entire framework into action really just boils down to a single fundamental choice. It's a question you have to answer for yourself. Do you want to look rich or do you want to be rich? Your answer to that question is going to determine your entire